Hi everyone, Curtis here from Goth Rider Creations, and in today's episode I'm going to get the last of the fiddly jobs done, place the neck, sort out the bridge and the silent pickup. Stay tuned. So, after the mammoth amount of work the last episode that I really didn't think was going to take that long, hey ho, now it's time to do the last few jobs. So first off, before I can do anything else, I need to get the neck set up and drill the holes for screwing it in. As I said, I'm not going to worry about set neck, so that's the first job. Now, normally people would be putting a new neck on an existing body, and that's nice and simple. You just put the neck in place and then you just drill through the existing holes into the neck, job done. This is the other way around, and I've not actually seen anyone putting a new body on an old neck, so there's not a lot of sort of existing information that I found about how to do this. Now, I can see there being a couple of options. Probably the one that would make more sense is to draw a line off of the back of the body, draw a line on the neck similar to what I've done there, then take a load of measurements and get it all set out, marked on here. The problem is with the no name nature of this neck, the neck holes look like they were just drilled randomly by some guy with a power drill. They're not actually straight, they're not actually in line with anything, so that's going to be a real pain in the butt, and I don't want to have to drill oversized holes in the body to go through. If it's a brand new body, you don't really want to be doing that. So I'm going to use a technique from the mechanics side of things, and that is to make some transfer punches. So I'll grab some screws and I'll show you how I do that. Right, so for any of you who don't know, in the mechanics side of things, especially when you're building frames for motorbikes, or if you're swapping out engines in cars, you need to make custom engine mounts, and getting that spot on in three-dimensional space can be a real nightmare. So what most mechanics have are punches, and they're literally made by taking bolts rather than screws. Oh, there you go, there's a bolt. And you cut the head off, you grind the end to a point, and then you just screw that into wherever you need your bracket to be, so it's just sticking out of whatever it's attached to, and then you put your bracket in place and hit it with a hammer, and then the transfer punch will leave a dent. You drill your hole, it's going to be exactly in the right spot every time. So I figured that I could just use the same idea, grab a few screws, screw them into the neck holes, cut the ends off, and done. Problem is, my Dremel is knackered right now, and these things would take me about 6 years to cut through with a hacksaw, so I'm not going to bother. So instead I am going to use copper. Now, I've got tons of this from my days doing electrics, so it's not as hard, so it's probably not the most ideal material, but you're only getting 4 indentations for some screws on some pine, so this isn't the end of the world. So all we're going to do is literally poke that into the hole, give yourself, I don't know, 4 or 5 millimeters clearance, cut that off, and the bonus of doing it that way, see if end camera can get that, you get a nice little point from where you cut that off. So all you do is take those, stick them in the hole. I might put a little bit of tape around the edge just to make sure it doesn't fall out the hole as soon as I turn it over. Put 4 of those, turn it around, stick it in the neck pocket, done. I think theoretically that might work. Watch as I eat those words in just 1 second. here we go. 4 holes. So that actually worked better than I thought it would. So theoretically now we can just pull these out and drill the holes. Right, and there we have it. Unfortunately, one of the screws was on one of the join lines, and this little corner of timber has come loose. So a little bit annoying, but it's not actually structurally important. It's only on the edge. So what I'll do is, by the end of today, I'll get those screws out, get that all glued back in place. Not an issue. But now that the hole's drilled, that won't be a problem at all. Sorry about that, everyone. Mrs. Goth Rider wasn't feeling 100%, so I kind of cut short. I did quickly clamp the offending piece back into place, glued it down, and that was that. So yes, another day, let's start fresh. So first of all I'm going to do, I'm not going to worry too much about the outside. I just get a little sand. What I'm going to do is literally just chisel out the excess glue there, and then I can re-drill these holes to the correct size and we can carry on. Right, so there we have it, all sorted. Got the base plate on. I did have to slightly elongate a couple of the holes by a couple of mil. It was to be expected with the misalignment. I think one of the screws is slightly bent as well, so it is what it is. I'm working with second-hand parts, so I can't really complain too much. Right, so now we need to double check the center line again. I did sand off the marks because I've done 2 or 3 different versions of this, so there's nothing worse than thinking you've got the right line, working from that and realizing you're wrong. So I'd rather mark it up again. So and that is absolutely perfect. Very happy with that. We have the center line going straight down and straight onto the point of the horn, so that confirms we definitely got it absolutely spot on. So yay! So we've got the neck, we've got the center line, next comes the bridge. So we'll just get out the other bag of bits, and here we have it. So I have followed the very instructional video. Sean over at Alwyn Luthery, awesome guy. If he's good enough to instruct people at Crimson, then yeah, his videos are definitely something you should be working by. I'm pretty sure half of the GGBO contestants use him as their go-to guy for technical information. And yeah, basically well, I've only put one of the saddles on there because that's all that really matters. The high E string will be most likely the higher up, or is it the base? I can't remember, but on one side it usually get higher and then they slope down to the other side. Now all I've done is, as he suggested, is extend it up as high as it will go to the end, and then I like to just slacken it back about 1 millimeter, just so it's not going to be flopping in the wind or anything like that. It is quite tight, and then you can use that as the reference point for your scale length. And then if anything, you're only ever going to be adjusting backwards. You don't want to have it absolutely max travel, because it might get loose or anything like that. And then, yeah, you've got that as your line, and then as you do your intonation, you will generally move backwards. So what we will do is get the daddy ruler. We shall measure out the 25.5-inch scale length. Right, ruler's against the nut. That is exactly 25.5. That's my line. And I know I need to tidy my desk again. We have that. Absolutely spot on. So that's the scale length done. So now we can just center this. So just take a mark off the front and then use the protractor again, just to make sure that the front is going to be absolutely square. So that front sits spot on. The center line of the guitar goes through the center screw hole. And that's it. It doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. We just sort out our drill holes, and that's it. So happy days. The only other thing we need to do is sort out the piezo pickup, so let's find that quickly. Right, sorry about that. A little bit panicked there. I was a little bit concerned I'd accidentally put it in the rubbish. So that's that. Now, I believe it was Gio, Tornelli Guitars, who commented a couple of episodes and said how he'd be interested to see how I organise this. And if you're keeping up with the Cowrie build that Ben Crow's doing on Crimson Guitars, he's using basically the same piezo pickup as part of the Fishman set that he harvested from the other guitar. And yeah, basically this is meant to go underneath the bone bridge on an acoustic style guitar, and then this just slots underneath it, and then the vibrations from the strings transfer into this. Now obviously I'm using a hardtail electric saddle, so not the same, but I'm thinking that it should be able to work on roughly the same principle. So I'm going to literally mount this directly underneath. Now it is wide enough. If I can position it correctly, I can get the individual lumps on this to correspond roughly with the positions of where the saddles will be. Now I know that this is not going to be the same. It's a metal construction, so it should transfer vibrations as well as bone, possibly better, possibly worse. I don't get involved in the tone debate, I just think it's hilarious. But theoretically, with these being sprung and the only parts of this that is directly connecting to the base plate are the screws. Now I'm going to make sure I adjust these as well as I can so they're all sitting flat and flush, but it's not going to be as direct contact as if it was directly underneath the bone bridge. So I'm going to try and mount this underneath initially. If it turns out it doesn't work, or it's too muddled, or it's too fuzzy, then what I will do is I will drill a hole through the bridge and then mount it directly underneath the saddles, and then either I bring the saddles down low enough that it touches this, or if I make some kind of a packing piece using some brass or copper to raise that up enough so the saddles are actually resting on this. That, I think, would do the trick, because it will be hard mounted, it will be on a solid base, and it will be touching the saddles. So that's plan B if plan A doesn't work. I'm hoping plan A will work and it will save me a lot of aggro. So all we need to do is drill an oversized hole from underneath the bridge into the electronics cavity, and then that way I can run the earth and this down through there. It is a mono jack head, so it is a bit chunky, so I will go from the center of the bridge. I've lucked out that this is the style of bridge that has the strings that go through the back rather than through the body, so I can just pick any spot here. If needs be, I can drill 2 holes, one for the pickup, one for the earth, and just get that done. So that's fine. And then all I'm going to do, now that I've got the holes drawn out, is just realign that, draw around, completely around the bridge, so then I can sketch out a nice spot to put this pickup, and then I will just drill an access hole near the end here, so it'll be the quickest route through, and that should do it. And we're in luck. Oh, I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but I've managed to, oh, this is going to be an angle and a half. You can just, oh, there you go, right next to the screw post. So yeah, that was a nice little bit of luck, that one. So that's perfect, and that should allow me to, oh yeah, there's plenty of space. We can run, I needed a bit of reaming out at the other end, but that should go in quite nicely. There we go. And that will sit well there. So all I've got to do now is just kind of cut this area out, and I think I might just use the Dremel and a stone bit on this. I'm going to try and finesse it a bit because I want it to be sitting as flush with the wood as I can, so it's got the best connection on top of the bridge. If there's any gap or anything like that, it would cause an issue, but to be honest, if anything, if I go a little bit shallower, then I could actually maybe put something underneath it to pack it, so it's not a major issue either way. But we got plenty of space for that, so let me drill another hole to set this down clean, and then we can grind that bit out. Right, and that's that. So we have, that's there, and it will need a dab of glue or something, but that is now sitting flush where it needs to be. So that is all of the pickups now routed where they need to be. The only two things left are the battery box and the jack plate. So first of all, we can look at the battery box. I wish I hadn't forgotten it, but that's life. Excuse me. System of a Down is a wonderful band, but not when I'm talking to people. So we need to try and think of somewhere where this will live and it won't get in the way of anything else. And I'm thinking that that will probably do the trick. So I've got to go down quite deep for the battery, but only a thin little bit for this top edge. So what I will do is mark out the top section, and then I'll probably do exactly the same as I did for the electronics cavity, do a shallow carve for the edge of this. God, barely a mil or two. So yeah, it's 2 millimeters depth, so I'll do a really shallow pass just to get that in there, and then we'll go to full depth on the back. That will do that. Well, that took a little bit longer than I'd hoped, but we now have the battery compartment in. Still needs flushing up a little bit around the edges, but that's no major one. So all we're going to do is pull that out of there, find a drill big enough to allow this plug to go through, drill from there, well actually from this cavity through into there. And then that will power that. Sorry, thinking on the fly. That will go to there, that's that one done. So let me quickly do that now. And for anyone that's thinking, wow, Curtis is doing this really amazingly and he hasn't made any mistakes yet. Yeah, it just blew a hole right through the front of the guitar. So yeah, anyone that's misdrilled their cavity, you're not alone. It's quite impressive. But thankfully, this is being painted, so it's really not a problem. All I'll do is get a bit of dowel, or I even bought some new plug cutters recently, I might even try that, cleanly drill that hole through and then whack a plug in there, cut it flush. It will need sanding anyway, really no major harm. But my first major, well, other than the jigsaw obviously, yeah, that's my first proper boo-boo, so I'll take that as a win. So we've got under the bridge cavity, we've got all of the cavities stitched together, we've got the battery box in, that's all sorted. I think the last job for any of the construction side of things before we go into niceties is the jack. Now obviously with this being a budget build, we are using the existing jack. Now I don't want to put it on the front. I really don't want to put it on the front. We've got the switches and the dials there, that's nice and clean. There is no pick guard, so this is just going to stand out. Now, a lot of the time, people will put them on the back. I mean, to be fair, I've got so many covers over here and so much electronics, I don't think it would really matter if I just chucked it there. I don't think anyone would even notice. Give me a second, let me go speak to the client and I shall let you know. Right, so decision made. The client is very happy for me to put it in the back, so that makes my life a hell of a lot easier. Now, all we'll do is put it in the back there, so that way you can just plug it in from the back end there and there's no major issues. So if we have a playing position here, jack in there, so we've got the back here, like so. So all we need to do is mark this out and get this one routed as well. I'm starting to get tired of routing. And we're sorted. Oi! There she is on the back. I have lost one of the screws, which is slightly annoying, but we can find that, so that's not a major issue. So there we have the silent piezo pickup cavity, the normal pickup cavity, the 9-volt battery cavity, the jack for the normal electronics, humbuckers, silent piezo, and one extra hole for good luck. So that is now it. That is all of the major construction done. That was a lot more work than I'd hoped for, but that is now sorted. So everything else now is cosmetics, so that I am very happy about. So on the next episode I will introduce you to my new toy that I have been playing with for the last few days. Hopefully it should make things a lot quicker and easier here in the workshop. And then yeah, we will start shaping the body, getting everything tidied up, and yeah, we'll get a little bit closer to actually getting this thing working and sorted. So as always, thank you so much for watching. Please throw us a comment, let us know what you think so far. If you haven't already, please subscribe. So many new subscribers at the moment, it really is helping the channel. Thank you very much, and I will see you all next time. Take care, everyone.